Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the Africa Independent Television, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. Only on this program and on this channel, we give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to your programs today. My name still remains Patrick Abambu. The week has been quite eventful. I must say, concerning security, ups and downs, but really, we must thank God for another week coming to an end and going to a new week with great hopes. And that indeed will form our discussions today. Already I have in the studio with me our guest, our regular guest, a man you have seen here several times, who I believe that has been able to provide some kind of analysis to some of the topics we have discussed in the past. So today he's going to do the same as we'll be looking at the issue about the Niger Republic coup that took place recently, and the role Nigeria and ECOWAS is playing to resolving this situation. People had come with a mixture of ideas and solutions, but we need to be able to look at it very critically to be able to come to a concluding point. But let's go to the defense headquarters in Nigeria, where the ECOWAS chiefs of defense staff, they met for 2 days, brainstorming. In fact, I must say 3 days, brainstorming on the way forward, because part of the, should I say, the conditions ECOWAS gave to the new military junta in Niger is to hand over to the elected government that was removed. So if not, there will be military action. So that is calling for this particular meeting where Nigeria is chairing. And also it's quite significant because the occasion also provided the avenue for the Nigerian Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to take over as the substantive president of that committee. I think we have the visual of him being handed over, where they're handed over to him. Yeah, you can see it on screen there. That is Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwambi Musa. Yes, he's a man who is part of Security Watch Africa and will believe in his capacity to do the work. And this really is a litmus task for him to be able to handle. Then after that, he had the opportunity to read out the communique for the 3 days discussions that the resolution from their meeting. Sit back as we bring you his address, or what I will call the communique from that meeting.
Throughout our discussions, we have collectively recognized the gravity of the situation and the urgent need for a well-coordinated response. Deliberations have been marked by a spirit of unity, cooperation, and determination to address the challenges at hand. We have examined the immediate implication of the coup in Niger Republic and its potential ripple effects across the ECOWAS region. We have also deliberated on the broader implication for democracy, peace, and stability in West Africa. I'm pleased to note that our discussions have yielded valuable insights and actionable recommendations. We have acknowledged the need for a comprehensive approach that encompasses political, security, and diplomatic dimensions. It is imperative that we translate our deliberations into concrete actions that effectively address the crisis and prevent a reoccurrence in the future. ECOWAS will not be used for coups. Democracy is what we stand for, and democracy is what we sustain. Firstly, we must emphasize the importance of upholding democratic principles and the rule of law. The coup in the Niger Republic represents a blatant disregard for these fundamental principles that underpin our regional integration and stability. We must unequivocally condemn such actions and demonstrate our unwavering commitment to democracy. Secondly, we must strengthen our regional security architecture and enhance our collective response to security challenges. The coup in the Republic of Niger has highlighted the fragility of our region and the need for a robust and proactive security framework. We must enhance intelligence sharing, joint training exercises, and capacity building initiatives among our defense and security forces to effectively combat threats to our collective security and enhance interoperability. Thirdly, we must intensify our diplomatic efforts to engage with all relevant stakeholders. Dialogue and negotiations should be at the forefront of our approach in resolving the crisis in the Republic of Niger. I'm happy that is being done and that is being carried out. We must engage with the transitional authorities, civil society organizations, and other key actors to foster an inclusive and peaceful transition process. However, it is crucial to recognize that the success of our deliberation depends on the implementation of the recommendations as we have formulated. We must ensure that decisions taken here today are not mere rhetorics, but are transformed into tangible actions on the ground. To this end, I call upon each member state to take ownership of the agreed upon measures and work diligently to implement them towards finding solutions to the situation in the Republic of Niger. We must strengthen our coordination mechanisms within the ECOWAS framework. The ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff should continue to serve as a platform for regular engagement, information sharing, and joint planning. We must leverage our collective expertise and resources to address emerging security challenges promptly. Let us remember that the success of this meeting will not be measured by the words spoken here today, but by the actions we take tomorrow and in the days to come. Let us seize this opportunity to make a lasting impact and ensure that the Republic of Niger and the entire ECOWAS region can progress on the path of democracy, peace, and stability. I urge you all to prioritize the implementation of recommendations that have been put forth during our deliberations. This requires a concerted effort and a sense of urgency. We must allocate the necessary resources, engage relevant stakeholders, and monitor progress to ensure that our decisions have a tangible impact on the ground. In conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude once again to each and every one of you for your active participation and valuable contribution to this extraordinary meeting. Your dedication to the cause of peace and stability in our region is commendable, and I'm confident that together we can overcome the challenges we face. As we depart from this meeting, let us carry with us a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to translating our words into action. We have come, we have deliberated, we have engaged, we have taken decisions, and we're going to forward to our principals for final decision.
Welcome back. Yes, you had him there, General Musa, reading out the communique. There is the resolution of the 3 days meeting. A lot that needs to be done. Like you said, we must do this, we must do that. And that is very, 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 I must say, subject to quite discussions. But it was quite conclusive. And this report was submitted to the ECOWAS president himself, and the chairman of the heads of government of ECOWAS, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which we will discuss with other members of the heads of government committee before a resolution can come. But let's come to our discussion. Like I introduced earlier, I have Mr. Chimezie Amanyadike, who is a social commentator, who is very familiar to you through this program. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Same here, sir. Very grateful.
Yes, particularly I'm quite disturbed about what is happening or coming out from Niger Republic. What is your take on this?
Yes, it's actually disturbing, and at the same time, I think it's not something that should be treated with the level of aggression that is being witnessed, especially coming from the ECOWAS community. It's quite disturbing, and it has every tendency to be very destabilizing for the ECOWAS sub-region. And I think it's something that has to be engaged with every measure of diplomacy. Every diplomatic means has to be completely and thoroughly exhausted before we start talking about some sort of interventions and termination of bilateral relationships. So it's something that has every tendency to destabilize the entire region. Case in point, for example, when what happened in Libya took place, Nigeria currently has been affected. Something that happened in Northern Africa is affecting the West African country of Nigeria. So this one is very close to our own borders. Practically, it's I can tell you that most people may not even know that there is a difference between Nigeria and Niger.
A lot of people made that mistake in Nigeria.
When growing up, I used to think that Niger was actually part of Nigeria because I was like, is it not the same place they call Niger State when I was much more younger? So that mixability between the two countries has led to something that we need to be very, very careful about, especially as it regards to situations like this. Because whatever happens, definitely it will go a long way in destabilizing our own much sought after peace that we have so far tried to safeguard.
Yeah, you have just said it there. Our own much sought after peace, really, because for a decade now we have been looking
Yes.
for that peace. Various non-state actors taking arms against the people and the government of Nigeria, which is quite troubling. And here is another one that may snowball
Yes.
to a more troubling situation. But let's come to, when the coup took place, of course, ECOWAS as a body responded and denounced it and called for the reinstatement of the outstanding president by the military junta and all that. And then a meeting was held here in Nigeria. The resolution of that meeting is that these people will be given 7 days ultimatum to be able to hand over power back to the person, and if not, sanctions will be placed. No-fly zone, a lot of things, closing of the borders and all that. Do you think if you want a solution to a problem like this, you also come with threats? Do you think it's a good policy?
I think it's a little bit too strong-armed a response, in the sense that I understand the stance of the ECOWAS head presidents, and then the chairperson of the ECOWAS heads of states, that's the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I understand the importance of demonstrating solidarity as well as strength, but sometimes you can actually stoop to conquer.
Exactly.
I think that in a situation like this, giving an ultimatum to the military junta was to me, it is a little bit too strong-armed, in the sense that this is a military setup. It's not as though two democratic juggernauts
They are not
are
in any
having
form.
issues. We are talking about battle-hardened military personnel that are already used to the vagaries of conflict. So I think it's something they're already used to, and I believe that was what made them call the bluff of ECOWAS. I believe that 7 days ultimatum should never have been issued. I believe what should have been done was to invite them to a conversation, have a roundtable discussion with them. What is the reason behind this? What prompted you guys? I'm not going to give them the details of what to talk about, but I believe that talks, first and foremost, should have been initiated first and exhausted properly before you start imposing any form of sanctions. Running first, imposing sanctions, to me, I believe it was a premature demonstration of strength. You can demonstrate strength after you've exhausted every diplomatic means.
You judge your first before you war.
Yes, coming first to demonstrate strength, and then probably feeling that, okay, because you have given them 7 days, imposed the no-fly zone over Niger, and then the closing of border and the rest of them, it has so far not worked. And so I believe it was a hasty move. I don't want to say wrong move. It was too hasty a move. It's something that should have been done after every diplomatic channel has been exhausted.
And now another sanction is that Nigeria cut off electricity supply to Niger. Are you not seeing a problem here now for Nigeria particularly? Because our major source of electricity in this country is Kanji Dam. Yes. And Kanji Dam draws water from Niger River, the river Niger, which sources from Niger itself. Now there is insinuation that Niger is to be sponsored by another big country to build a dam on that same river. What do you see? What implication is this?
Yes, that's why I said that the sanctions, the show of strength, is, to me, it's a bit premature, because one of the things, in Igbo language, we say that a bird that just jumps out on the street and starts dancing, that whatever is beating the drum for it is in the bush. So that whatever instantiated the coup in the first place, and then has made this, the military junta, the actors and the players, to keep calling everybody's bluff, even cutting off relationships and threatening everybody, then something definitely is empowering them. Something is giving them a whole lot of courage to do what they do, because of course we know the military might and the economic might is nothing to write home about.
Could that be the reason why Nigeria is ready to, or ECOWAS is ready to go to war, because their might is so small?
That's the thing. That's why I said that it was too hasty to have demonstrated strength. First and foremost, like I said, they should have called for talks, exhaust every diplomatic opportunity to get them to come back to democracy, to restore the democratically elected leader of the country. And then whatever grievances they have, even if they want to oust him, they must return to democracy. Because definitely if you bring back the president, the first thing he will do is to deal with all the...
But that's another demand that ECOWAS is making, to reinstate the ousted president. Is it possible?
It has never happened anywhere,
okay,
and it will never happen. So I know that what these guys would do the best, if there had been invitations for a diplomatic conversations and engagement, what they would have simply done is, all right, we will revert to democracy, but not to bring this ousted president. Yes, and all of that. That should be the first thing that I believe the ECOWAS community should have sought for. Return to democracy. Telling them to restore the ousted president is not going to happen. It has never happened anywhere, and it will not happen. So that is then the cutting off of electricity to Niger. Like I said, I still say it is a premature demonstration of strength, because you have given the citizens of Niger the reason to develop animosity against ECOWAS and against Nigeria particularly. So because it is not the military junta that are going to be primarily affected by the power outage, the citizens are the ones suffering. And if you intend to punish the citizens because of an illegal administration, then whatever thing you have done is already designed to fail. So like I said, it was too premature. All these measures should have come at the very end of the exhaustion, total and complete exhaustion of every diplomatic channel, discussions and all of that. Then you can start introducing the sanctions. But starting with them, I did not find it particularly appealing, to me, because it could snowball into something that nobody envisaged, and Nigeria particularly is not prepared for.
Okay. Just yesterday, the Senate President, distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, read a message, a correspondence from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to the effect that he's seeking the Senate approval for him to deploy troops to Niger Republic. That has been met with so many criticisms, particularly the northern Nigeria's caucus of the Senate have also protested because they believe this will endanger them. But to you, what do you think? Is it a proper move to seek this now? And what would you advise the Senate?
It's within the prerogative of the president as the commander-in-chief to communicate the National Assembly to amass troops for any conflict or to resolve any conflict. And I believe that it's also within the rights of the National Assembly to either reject or accept such a request. But in the light of all the various dynamics of this situation, it's a very unique one. I will not tell the National Assembly what to do, but in my own opinion, I think there should be a high-powered discussion meeting between the leadership of the National Assembly and the presidency to either delay or to stop completely whatever militaristic intervention that we are planning, because basically, essentially, we are going to be endangering the entire northern region to the fallout of whatever is going to happen. And it is what our neighbors know, because families share, we have families in Nigeria that also have families in Niger Republic. We have communities that how do I put it, that the border of Nigeria does not concern them. It's none of their business.
They attend the same schools.
Because they attend the same schools, they attend the same mosques. They belong to the same communities, just that there is an imaginary line, a imaginary political line that separates them. So with all of this in mind, I think that there should be a discussion between the National Assembly and the presidency on this matter, so that there would not be any sort of power play here, and so that the administration of the president would have the due support he gathered from the north towards his victory at the polls. So the first thing is let them have proper conversation. If it is proper, if it is going to be economically or militarily beneficial to Nigeria first, it is our own benefit we should be talking about. And this involves the communities at the borders. We must look at their protection first. And so if we become the aggressor, they will become the first victims. Because once there are retaliations, the Nigerian military hierarchy may not even think about focusing on the Nigerian military. Of course, they cannot outgun Nigeria and all of that. They might just focus on soft targets. And at the end of the day, you build animosity against your administration within your country. So that is what I believe they have to do. Let them have a conversation and talk with Mr. President. How do let's delay this thing or let's cancel it
And
outright.
already that region is experiencing
a lot of
recurring banditry activities.
And these are things I believe should be front burner at the moment. How to tackle and completely annihilate the internal insecurity, the internal security issues that we have, as against deploying resources that we barely have to intervene in the affairs of a sovereign
because I wanted
nation.
to ask, so somebody just told me yesterday that these little resources we have got in terms of the military platforms, are we ready to now start spending it on something that does not directly affect us?
The truth of the matter is I don't believe Nigeria should ever be an aggressor. Yes, we want to be big brother. Of course, I remember during President Muhammad Buhari.
Has he paid the country? Has he paid us the big brother?
Well, there are big brothers always stand to be, disadvantaged because you keep sacrificing and sacrificing.
But sometimes when you are in trouble, you have your junior ones sympathize with you or feel. But in this case, these countries are not the ones that are ready to.
Exactly, because they are protecting their own interests first. And I believe that should be the primary objective of Mr. President. Protect Nigeria. What happened in Niger does not portend, so far, I don't think it portends any security issue for Nigeria. So let there be diplomacy first, let there be diplomatic conversations, and then anything would be able to tackle it as a block.
I discussed with somebody yesterday, and the idea is that why don't Nigeria focus on maybe getting the former president, the ousted president, to first of all be released.
Yes.
Either negotiate an asylum for him somewhere while a new government is being set up, or let him be free to move around or whatever. Do you think it's a good move?
Yes, I think so. I think that should be part of the discussion points or the items of the agenda of such meeting. Get him released. If you are expelling him, if you are exiling him, no problem. We'll look for a sister country that would accept and grant him asylum. I think that should be, but that should be part of what the conversation will be, because there is no way those guys would accept to restore him.
Because with him in the stronghold of these military juntas, and you are carrying a military aggression against him, he could be in danger himself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So a lot of things. But now let's come to this as well. Getting signal to end this discussion. Let's come to one thing that is of another important to us. Mr. President have just released the names of those. Somebody said the 48 wise men and women to help him run his administration. And looking at the challenge we have facing serious terrorism and insurgency, even though it's gone down drastically. Yes. Nobody in that list that is known to have a military or security experience. What do you think? Because yes, even till now, the United States make sure that they have those with military experience in the cabinet, and to ensure because of the. What do you think? Don't you think it's not too much of not proper, really?
Yes, I believe that I would always give credit to Mr. President. I believe he knows what he is doing. And I also believe that there is no harm in listening to advice and suggestions as to how to compose the cabinet, especially with regards to security issues. I believe that there has to be serious focus on experience, especially some of our retired military hierarchy, that members of our military hierarchy that have had experience with engaging militarily with, especially with regards to ISWAP, Boko Haram, and banditry and the rest of them. They have an understanding of the dynamics of these volatile situations.
Present day situation.
Yeah, so I think that there is no harm in engaging one or two of them, because they would be the ones to give appropriate advice on how to handle some situations that ordinarily a civilian will have basically no idea on how to handle them. For example, I cannot be appointed into defense or whatever. In any case, I'm not a soldier. I have never been in the military. So I would not know the dynamics of some conflicts that would arise. So
for instance, having a civilian, true civilian becoming minister for defense, for instance, and there's an issue about the defense hardwares and terminology.
I believe that such ministries or such cabinet seats should be manned by individuals from that particular background, from that particular sector, because they are the ones that would be able to move and push the president towards taking the right decisions at the appropriate time.
Looking at the list, we have 48. Some said already is too long, too much, bigger than expected. But will there still be space to add this advice that is coming out?
Well, I think that in Nigeria we have opinion on everything, and we want to tell the other person how to run his or her life or his affairs.
Yes.
When even we have no idea what is happening. I think Mr. President has antecedent on governance, and he knows the exact number of people and the appropriate people to put in positions that would aid, manning this country properly. So I'm not going to say it's too much. I'm not going to say it's too little. The buck stops at his table. If it is too much, it's his responsibility. If it is too little, it is still his cup to drink. But I would just say that he should go ahead with what he believes is right for the nation, especially in terms of cabinet composition, and keep pushing the affairs of Nigeria forward.
Okay. Now let's look at, recently in the Southeast, there have been a mixed reaction over the issue about sit-at-home. I remember the last time we were here, we talked about this sit-at-home is not useful in any form or any. In some states, there's this attempt to stop it. Political leaders trying to stop it. Do you think that this should be encouraged so that this thing can be stopped? And with the latest situation, there seems to be a little bit of calmness. A bit. What do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. I read a report where it was declared that the Southeast has lost an estimated 7.6 trillion. The Southeastern economy has lost an estimated 7.6 trillion naira since the sit-at-home became very, very serious in the past, how many years? I think 2 years plus and all of that. And I think that I had a conversation with a friend who is in the Southeast, and I said, the truth of the matter is that it's the Southeast that needs to develop resistance towards this thing. It has to be them. So once they demonstrate resistance to it, I believe that it would die naturally. He told me, I spoke with him yesterday, he told me that there's no sit-at-home, that people have started going about their normal businesses, and that the military also is invading their enclaves and dealing with them appropriately. So the two go hand in hand. If there is military or security forces intervention and the people have also developed courage to go about their businesses, I believe it would be a thing of the past, and it should be, ordinarily it should be encouraged very, very well.
That's good, that's good. It's cheering news. I must say I'm very happy about it, because Southeast cannot be left on its own, really. And there are also good news coming from the Northwest also. The bandits are getting it hotter and hotter with some things being dropped on them. Really, I think on this gladly note, we must say thank you for being on the program today. Really, it's a pleasure. And when time permits, we can invite you to come over. Let's talk again on another issue. Security is quite dynamic. We want to wait to see what the ECOWAS heads of government will decide finally, because the ultimatum is ending now, and let's see. So it's a pleasure to have you again.
Same here,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Pleasure is mine, sir.
Yeah, viewers, if you are joining us, thank you for staying tuned to the program today. Really, we must give way for other programs to continue. If you have enjoyed watching us, you must ensure that you go follow us on all our social media platforms. They're on the screen there, and watch the previous editions on this program on our YouTube channel, so that you can keep abreast with what we are discussing on this program. Until next week, I say thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.